What's up, everybody? Richard back today with another episode of the Warped Report, number 20, in fact. And on this 20th edition of the Warped Report, we have a couple of news stories to get to, but we're also going to look at some new tracks that came out and wrap it up by talking about the new Knocked Loose EP, A Tear in the Fabric of Life. Now, also the new Ice Nine Kills record recently came out, but we're going to wait till the next week's episode to talk about that because I definitely want to go a little bit more in depth than I typically would when it comes to that album. So let's start it off. I mean, this has been a story that that is kind of going a little bit under the radar, but A Day to Remember's bassist 𝗧𝗛𝗪 has left the band. Now, this comes after, there's been allegations towards 𝗧𝗪 of sexual misconduct and stuff like that, but there was also a post on Reddit where somebody had speculated or, did some sleuthing around in which they accused 𝗧𝗪 of being the person in this police report in which resulted in somebody passing away from a vehicular accident. So I don't know if that's true. I mean, all the signs point to that it very well could be him, but of course we don't know that for sure. But obviously, that is something that we're going to have to keep an eye on as well as time goes on. But Woodard has left the band. He will not be joining ADTR when they go to tour with Bring Me the Horizon, of course. And, he released a statement here, pretty much proclaiming his innocence. Of course, these are all things that we do not know about, but this has been an ongoing story for a while involving 𝗧𝗪. And in terms of him being in the band and not in the band, a lot of people calling for him to be removed from the band, but now he has ultimately stepped down. But anyway, now we're going to move on to another story here involving Asking Alexandria. They failed to debut on the Billboard 200 for the first time in their career. Now, their previous 6 albums were released through Sumerian Records, and they all charted on the Billboard Top 200, but now this was their first record with Better Noise, and it tallied roughly 2,400 in pure sales during its first week of release in the United States. And then it also says here, coupled with stream equivalent album sales, the total was significantly less than the number needed to crack the Billboard 200. So, I mean, listen, I'll be honest with you. I'm not really the biggest Asking Alexandria fan, but I kind of saw the trajectory of this album a little bit. I believe they only released 1 single. So this is definitely a massive letdown for Asking Alexandria, especially being on a brand new label, Better Noise, which, I mean, listen, man, I pride myself on knowing a little bit about this space and alternative music, and I've never heard of Better Noise before. So I'm not saying that I am the wealth of all the knowledge, but obviously on a label that I'm not aware of, maybe you're not aware of, and then also not cracking the top 200 for the first time in their career with what seemed like a pretty lackluster release cycle. It'll be interesting to see how Asking Alexandria responds to this moving forward. But now we got some more headlining shows, more shows in general being canceled, and that is Code Orange. They have been forced to cancel the remainder of their fall headlining shows due to enhanced COVID protocols in place for their current tour with Slipknot and Killswitch Engage. The band issued the following statement today, and it reads, announcement, due to newly enhanced COVID protocols on the Knotfest Roadshow tour, we are no longer able to perform at our upcoming headline shows in Columbia, Jacksonville, Memphis, San Antonio, and Tucson. This is not our call. We will be back soon. All tickets will be refunded at the point of purchase. So you hate to see that. I know a lot of people are looking forward to that show, but Code Orange has canceled some upcoming headlining shows. But where there's some shows being canceled, we have some shows being announced in the form of a tour. This time we have Chelsea Grin, Brand of Sacrifice, Kingdom of Giants, and Filth announcing a tour where they'll be going off between November 27th and December 18th. And it looks like a lot of these are kind of more in the West Coast or Southwest regions of the world. Oh, you got Minneapolis, Minnesota in there. You got the Denver, Colorado, and Lawrence, Kansas, but everything else is way far away from me, so I will not be able to enjoy this tour sadly. This looks like a great tour. Chelsea Grin, obviously fantastic. Brandon Sacrifice has really caught a lot of steam. Kingdom of Giants did well with their latest release through Sharp Tone, and Filth is actually a band that I've played with before, and they are heavy as heck. So if you've never heard of Filth, make sure you check them out. Also, Orthodox have signed with Century Media Records, and they say here in one of their quotes that they actually signed in early 2020, but they've been waiting for the right time to announce it. And they're also working on their third full-length record with Randy LaBeouf. This is a band that I haven't really heard too much of. I haven't heard their new single, and from what I have heard, they're heavy. They really embrace that hardcore feel, that hardcore energy. And when I have seen them live actually once with Spite and Dealer when they were a band, and they brought the energy. So congrats to these guys on signing with Century Media Records, a great record label. But they block a lot of video content, so please stop blocking video, Century Media. Please stop. But now we're going to talk about a couple songs here. And the first here is actually an out-of-line not the latest signee, but a new signee. That's Betraying the Martyrs. They've unveiled their new vocalist and new single, Black Hole. This song here features their new vocalist, 𝗧𝗛𝗪 Martins. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I could be totally wrong there, but I know that because I have a friend who also has the same name, and that's how he pronounces it, so I apologize if I'm wrong. But he replaces Aaron Matz, who is now part of 1056, who's also on Out of Line. But anyway, Black Hole, what a fantastic song. Definitely a different sound compared to when Aaron was in the band, and I think that is accentuated by Martin's his stellar vocals. I mean, this guy can sing, he can scream. This has like a big Architects Spirit Box Circle of Me type of chorus and a fantastic breakdown that I put on TikTok actually of my reaction to their breakdown. It has over 10K views. So, I mean, listen, everybody's enjoying that breakdown as well. And this was a fantastic song. I believe when I did my reaction, I gave this about a 9, or I gave it a 9+ out of 10. So phenomenal track. But let's also talk about the new Left to Suffer song, DNR, which features Will Ramos and Ricky Hoover. This song was just absolutely insanely heavy, as evidenced by Will Ramos and Ricky Hoover being featured on the track. Actually, at the end of the track, there was a part where all three vocalists, screamed together, and it was just mind-blowingly heavy. I gave this track about a 9, I believe, as well. I love these guys, personal friends of mine, and this is an excellent single that they've released here as we wind down 2021. But speaking of excellent and heavy and winding down 2021, Knocked Loose released an EP, A Tear in the Fabric of Life, that also came with a short animated film. No singles leading up to this, nothing, just straight up, boom, here's the EP, 6 tracks. This was produced by Will Putney, and the tracks feature Where Light Divides the Holler, God Knows, Forced to Stay, Contorted, and the Faille, I believe that's Faille or Fail, Faille, Return to Passion, and Permanent. This EP, I gave it a 93%. I thought this was a phenomenal EP, absolutely mind-blowingly heavy, and to me, this is without a doubt the best Knocked Loose material to date. I mean, there was so many cool parts in terms of instrumentally, there were some eerie moments, like in the track Forced to Stay, I believe. I mean, they just really set the atmosphere there. Permanent, the outro for Permanent was, a little bit longer, but I definitely think that it wrapped up the record in a fantastic way. And vocalist Brian Garris, I know that he gets a lot of flack for his vocals, but I think this guy absolutely delivers some of the most mind-melting vocals out there. They're not conventional at all, but I think that's what makes them really unique and stand out in a scene where a lot of vocalists really maximize the low end and the high end. But Brian, I mean, it's raw as heck, and I personally love it. And this collectively, although, it's less songs than, their past 2 records, I think this is like the best work to date that they have put out. I think that Knocked Loose is one of those bands, man, that are going to be one of the, I don't know, man. They're going to go down. They're going to go down as one of the most important heavy bands of this generation, because these guys delivered a knockout punch with this EP, A Tear in the Fabric of Life. And if you have not heard it, you've got to listen to it. I know a lot of people can't get into the vocals, and I understand that, but if you can, there's no way you will not enjoy this EP. But with that said, that's it for this week's episode of the Warped Report. There's a lot of things here to cover, but a day to remember. I'm curious about your thoughts on Josh Woodard leaving the band. Did you even know that Asking Alexandria released the record? Were you supposed to go to one of those Code Orange shows? I'm sure you were. That really sucks. Are you going to be going to the Chelsea Grin headline tour? What do you think of Orthodox's new single? What do you think of Betraying the Martyrs' new single? What do you think of Left to Suffer's new single? And then Knocked Loose. If you've already listened to it, let me know what you think of that EP down in the comments below. But until then, guys, find me on all my social media and my YouTube channel. All that stuff is down below. But until next week, this was the Warped Report.